My life, it seems, was planned out for me, just not by me. From the time I was a little boy, I had this one big dream. I wanted to be a lawyer. I would watch old Hindi movies with my grandmother, completely fascinated by the dramatic courtroom scenes. The heroes in black coats, arguing with passion, fighting for justice. That was the life I imagined for myself. I would stand in front of the mirror, wearing my father's oversized blazer, and practice delivering powerful speeches to an imaginary jury. My bookshelf was filled not with comics, but with stories of famous legal battles and biographies of great lawyers. This wasn't just a childhood fantasy, it was the only future I ever saw for myself. A world of logic, debate, and making a real difference. But dreams, especially in a middle-class Indian family, often have to pass a tough inspection. My father, a practical man who had worked hard his entire life, had a different plan. "Lawyer? What will you do with that?" he would ask, his voice laced with concern. "There is no security in it, too much struggle." For him and my mother, the only respectable and safe path was engineering. It was the golden ticket, the ultimate symbol of a successful career. They saw a future for me filled with stability, a good salary, and the proud title of Engineer Sahab. Their intentions were pure, born out of love and a desire to see me settled and secure. But their vision clashed completely with the one I held so dearly in my heart. The dinner table became a battleground of wills, a silent war fought over plates of dal and roti. My pleas about passion and purpose were met with lectures about practicality and responsibility. "Think about your future, beta," my mother would say softly, her eyes pleading. "We only want what's best for you." Eventually, the weight of their expectations became too heavy to bear. I was young, and the thought of disappointing them, of being the cause of their worry, was unbearable. So, with a heavy heart, I surrendered my dream. I packed away my courtroom fantasies and filled out the application form for the engineering entrance exams, my signature feeling like a betrayal to the boy in the mirror. The day the results came out, my family celebrated. I had secured a spot in mechanical engineering at a decent college. There were sweets, phone calls to relatives, and proud smiles all around. I tried to smile too, to feel the happiness they felt for me, but my heart felt hollow. It was like I was watching a movie of someone else's life, a life where I was just an actor playing a part I never auditioned for. The dream of the black coat was replaced by the reality of blueprints and machinery. I was now on a path chosen for me, a path that led far away from the courtroom I had always longed for, and I had no idea where it would truly take me. College life began, and it was exactly as confusing and overwhelming as I had feared. The campus was huge, a maze of imposing buildings and unfamiliar faces. My first few lectures on thermodynamics and fluid mechanics felt like they were in a foreign language. Words like enthalpy and viscosity floated around the classroom, and I struggled to grasp their meaning. My classmates, on the other hand, seemed to absorb it all effortlessly. They discussed complex equations with an excitement I just couldn't fake. I would sit in the backbench, doodling in my notebook, my mind wandering far away from the drone of the professor's voice. The workshop, with its loud clanking machines, felt like a place I didn't belong, a world of grease and metal that felt alien to my soul. I did what was expected of me. I studied, I attended labs, and I somehow managed to pass my exams. My grades were average, just good enough to keep me from failing, but far from the top of the class. They called us 5-pointers, the students who just scraped by. My family was happy as long as I was passing. They didn't see the late nights I spent trying to memorize formulas that made no sense to me, or the sinking feeling in my stomach before every exam. I was living a double life, the dutiful engineering student on the outside, and the lost, confused boy on the inside. My heart wasn't in it, and no amount of effort could change that fundamental truth. The pressure was immense, not just from my family, but from the environment itself. Everyone around me was so focused, so driven. They talked about placements, high-paying jobs at multinational companies, and future projects. I felt like an imposter, a fraud who had somehow slipped through the cracks. I would nod along during conversations about career goals, pretending to share their enthusiasm for a future in manufacturing or automation. But inside, I felt a growing sense of panic. Was this it? Was this going to be my life? A cycle of exams, a degree, and a job that felt more like a cage than a career? The dream of being a lawyer seemed like a distant memory from another lifetime. My friends, my fellow backbenchers, were my only saving grace. We found comfort in our shared mediocrity, in our mutual dislike for the relentless academic grind. We would spend hours at the canteen, complaining about our professors and the impossible syllabus, finding humor in our shared misery. They didn't know about my secret dream of becoming a lawyer, but they understood the feeling of being a misfit. In those moments of shared laughter and frustration, I found a temporary escape. But when I returned to my hostel room at night, the silence would bring back the same old questions, the same gnawing feeling that I was on the wrong train, heading to a destination I never wanted to reach. One semester we had a course called Engineering Drawing. It was mandatory, and I dreaded it like all the others. We had to learn how to use complex software, CAD, to create technical drawings of machine parts. It was tedious, precise work. But then, for a small project, the professor gave us the freedom to design anything we wanted, as long as it demonstrated our skills with the software. While my classmates designed intricate gear systems and engine components, something inside me took a different turn. I remembered a picture of a beautiful modern house I had seen in a magazine. On a whim, I decided to try and create a three-dimensional model of a house. I started with a simple floor plan, a boxy structure with rooms and windows. Something magical happened as I began to work on that digital model. For the first time in years, I felt a spark. I wasn't just connecting lines, I was creating spaces. I spent hours lost in the process, forgetting about meals, forgetting about the boring lectures I was supposed to be studying for. I experimented with different wall textures, added furniture, and designed a small garden outside. The software, which had once seemed so complicated, now felt like a powerful tool, a paintbrush for my imagination. I wasn't just completing an assignment, I was building a world. The feeling was electric, a rush of creativity and purpose I hadn't felt since I was a boy dreaming of the courtroom. I submitted my project, a detailed three-dimensional model of a two-story home, complete with interiors and landscaping. My professor was surprised. He had expected a drawing of a piston or a crankshaft, not a fully furnished villa. He looked at my work, zoomed in on the details, and for the first time, a professor looked at me with something other than disappointment. "This is impressive," he said. "You have a good eye for design and space." Those few words of praise meant more to me than any grade I had ever received. They were a validation of something I had discovered within myself, a talent I never knew I had. It was a tiny flicker of light in the long dark tunnel of my engineering education. That small project opened up a whole new world for me. I started spending all my free time honing this new skill. I watched online tutorials, studied architectural designs, and practiced creating different styles of homes. My laptop, once a tool for boring assignments, became my canvas. I designed cozy cottages, sleek minimalist apartments, and grand sprawling mansions. Each project was a new adventure, a new story to tell through walls, windows, and light. I was still a mechanical engineering student by day, but by night I was an architect, a designer, a creator of digital dreams. I was finally doing something I loved, something that was entirely my own. Now, as my final year of engineering approaches, I find myself standing at a confusing crossroads. My family is already talking about campus placements and job interviews. They are proud of their engineer son, completely unaware of the secret world I have built for myself on my laptop. They see the degree as the finish line, the culmination of all their hopes and sacrifices. How do I tell them that my heart is no longer in the race they set me on? How do I explain that the thrill of designing a virtual balcony is far greater than the thought of working on an assembly line? Their happiness is tied to my engineering career, a career that now feels like a life sentence. The confusion is tearing me apart. On one hand, there is the path of duty and security. I could become a mechanical engineer, earn a steady salary, and make my family proud. It's the safe, sensible choice. I have the degree, I have the skills, and it's the path of least resistance. But the thought of it fills me with a sense of dread, a vision of a future painted in shades of gray. On the other hand, there is this newfound passion, this vibrant world of three-dimensional design. It excites me, it inspires me, but it's a world filled with uncertainty. Can I make a living out of it? Is it just a hobby, or can it be a real profession? The fear of the unknown is terrifying. Sometimes, I wonder if there's a way to connect all the pieces of my life. Could my engineering knowledge be useful in architectural design? Perhaps understanding structures and materials from an engineering perspective could make me a better designer. Maybe I could find a niche that combines the technical precision of engineering with the creative freedom of design. Or is that just a desperate attempt to please everyone, to avoid making a hard choice? I feel like I have three identities: the lawyer I wanted to be, the engineer I was forced to become, and the designer I discovered I am. I am a jumble of logic, mechanics, and art, and I don't know which one is the real me. So here I stand, with a degree in one hand and a portfolio of digital homes in the other. My family sees a future engineer, but I see a dozen different possibilities, each one as scary as it is exciting. The pressure to choose is mounting with every passing day. Do I follow the blueprint laid out for me by my family, a path of concrete and steel that promises security? Or do I take a leap of faith and try to build a life based on my own design, a path of pixels and passion that promises nothing but a chance at happiness? What should a person do when their head and their heart point in completely different directions?